Alrighty-yo. So let me just begin. And today I'm going to be talking about a really interesting topic, and it's called turning ideas into business opportunities. So for those that don't know what I do this thing called Startup Fundamentals Program. So most of you already know who I am, but many of you probably don't know what I do. So I just want to give you a sort of a brief overview, then I'll jump straight into it. Now, this lecture is going to take about 30 minutes, and what we'll do is we'll have some questions at the end. So if you get some questions along the way, just note them down and we'll come back to them at the end. Part of the Startup Fundamentals program is getting your fundamentals correct. Really, really important. I've noticed with many people, they start a business and they don't actually get their fundamentals correct. So what does that mean, really? The Startup Fundamentals program begins with developing the right mindset. And one of the areas we cover, of course, is things like cognitive biases, which we'll do a presentation in Workshop 11 in the coming months about recognizing cognitive biases. Then what we do is we look at how to assess opportunities, developing your purpose, vision, mission, all that sort of stuff. Understanding value creation, so how value is created. And then we look at developing a valuable business design. So what's a valuable business design? Well, essentially, it's about desirability. So do they want it? Feasibility, can we do it? And finally, viability. So should we do it? And that's where the most valuable business design is, where the three overlap. But what I do is I help businesses that are unique and valuable. Many businesses are often unique, but not valuable. So they might be like another mousetrap or another invention, or they might be valuable, but not unique. So pretty much a commodity. So I try to focus on building a business that's both unique and valuable. So then we develop the right business model. Then I show you how to create your market dominant position, build your team, and turn from an entrepreneur to an entrepreneurial leader, and test and validate your business model, and finally create a go-to-market strategy. So that's pretty much what I do with the Startup Fundamentals program. Today, I just want to talk about one aspect of that, and that's assessing opportunities. What I want to do today in just a short presentation is just give you an overview of what it takes to successfully turn your idea into a business opportunity. But to begin with, most of us have an idea for a business, but simply didn't know what to do. I'm sure each of us have many ideas, and each of us has been in this situation as well. Here's a quote from Chad Riddison, and he says, "Success in entrepreneurship is a process, not a destination." So remember, it's all about a process. And even assessing your idea is simply a process. Startup Fundamentals is simply a process. So let's examine by looking at ideas and opportunities. So when assessing their ideas, people make the same fundamental mistake over and over and over again. And that is, they fall in love with their idea or ideas, and then they just go with it. And rather than having, say, 10 ideas and then picking through those, they just go for the first or second idea and they fall into the cognitive bias. So opportunities are driven by ideas. And many of us think that because it's a good idea, it can be turned into a business opportunity. However, not all ideas can be developed into business opportunities. The question is, why not? Does anyone have any idea why? Anyone want to take a stab?
Someone else has done it, or it's not a viable business.
Yeah, well, yeah, okay. Well, let's dig deeper into that, yeah?
Yeah, the market might not want it.
People aren't prepared to pay for it.
Correct. Yeah, correct. Yeah, absolutely. And I guess the question then is the idea important? Right? People get too attached to the idea. Ideas a dime a dozen. For myself, I jump in the shower in the morning, I get 10 ideas for a business, right? Does that mean they're going to be viable? Absolutely not. There's a quote from Kerry Packer, the late Kerry Packer, who was Australia's richest businessman at one stage. And he said that the opportunity of a lifetime comes knocking every day. It's all about assessing the idea and testing it through a process and then executing successfully to build it into a business. Sounds simple, right? But what's important is execution. And successful execution almost always requires a team. It's almost impossible to be successful in a business without building a team. Very hard. Otherwise, it can just end up being just another job, or as we know, it's self-employment, which is okay. Sometimes team building and entrepreneurship is not for everyone, and people don't mind being self-employed. Many self-employed people are very happy. But essentially what happens is they actually work long hours, can work 60, 70, 80 hours a week just to keep up. And what happens is you end up being the lone wolf entrepreneur. So without execution, it's nothing more than just an idea. So then what is an opportunity? Well, here's a quote by the late Jeffrey Timmons, and he said, an opportunity has the qualities of being attractive, durable, and timely, and is anchored in a product or service which creates or adds value for its buyer or end user. Now, the emphasis here is adds value. So how do they arise? Well, two ways. Firstly, through change, and second one is through resource and info asymmetries. In terms of change, there could be things like new regulations, deregulations, new policies, economic conditions, demographic, social trends, new technology, environmental threats, even pandemics such as COVID-19. But now is the best time in recent history to start an enterprise. Can anyone tell me why?
Because
Anyone?
it's the present.
It's the present, yeah. But what does that mean?
It means that it's not in the future and it's not in the past, it's now.
Okay, fair enough. There are many reasons, but there's three reasons here. There's going to be less competition. The second is everyone is waiting or trying to figure it out. So nobody knows what the hell's going on, right? Especially in 2022. Right. And there are new windows of opportunity opening every single day. And the opportunities will be taken by those who are bold enough to seize the day, as I say in Latin, carpe diem. And entrepreneurs tend to go against the grain, go against the flow of opinion, which is based on fear. And for those that do, often reap the rewards. And you tend to find that even in a bear market, in the stock market, let's say, there's people still making money. They're short selling, basically. The most important factor in seizing opportunity is timing. So execution plus also timing as well. And here is a great video. We won't watch it. It's a TED Talk. It's the single biggest reason why startups succeed. This gentleman, Bill Gross, he talks about timing being the single most reason for success in startups. It was well worth a watch. It's only like 8.5 minutes. So here's a quote by Alan Kay. And he says, it's easier to invent the future than to predict it. And for those of you, obviously, in this crazy 2022, nobody knows what's going on or what's going to happen next. So I think as an entrepreneur, let's just create the future that we want. The second one is resource and info asymmetries. And these are things you know or have that others don't. Things like intellectual property advantages, specialized knowledge, expertise, strategic assets, or access to new or underserved markets. And here's a quote by Professor Thierry Valeri, and he says, opportunities are spawned when there are changing circumstances, chaos, disruption, confusion, inconsistencies, lags or leads, knowledge and information gaps, and a variety of other vacuums in an industry and market. And he was Professor of Entrepreneurship in the Swiss Institute. Sound familiar? The question then, of course, when is an idea an opportunity? And again, we quote here from the late Jeffrey Timmons, and there are 7 parameters, and this is the process that you need to take your idea through. So every time you have an idea, this particular process is very useful. So firstly, does it add significant value to the consumer? Does it solve problem, answers a need, want, or potential desire? Is it a great market? Is it a good fit with the founder and team? Really important to understand. Is the window of opportunities opening? Is the market entry feasible? And can you or are you able to achieve a competitive advantage over time? So coming back to the good fit and founder, it must be a good fit with the founder and team, and it must be based around something that you really want to do in terms of passion or whatever it is. Really important to understand. Otherwise, the rest doesn't matter. And there are 4 anchors, again, Timmons. Firstly, it adds or creates significant value for the customer or end user. It solves a major problem by removing a point of pain or meeting a significant want or need for which someone is willing to pay. So it must have a paying market. And you can make money out of it. So it's profitable. And it's a good fit for the founder or founders and management team and time and market, and the rewards justify the risks. Now, if it doesn't fall into these 4 anchors, then it's really hard to say that your idea is a business opportunity. So where do you start looking for ideas and opportunities? The best ideas usually come from experience. There are unmet needs such as product defects, complaints, alternate uses, service problems, quality, availability, ways of doing business. So can you do it better, quicker, cheaper? Alternate markets, maybe a product from overseas, maybe different uses for that product, maybe different customers or different market, or perhaps an underserved niche market. Important point number one to understand that big problems create big opportunities. So when we look at this, the larger problem size, the larger the opportunity. So think about the complex problems we are facing. And if you want to make money in business, solve a complex problem. The more complex the problem is, the more money you will make. If it's complex enough and you solve it, people will throw money at you. Important point number two, there are no permanently excellent industries and there are no permanently excellent companies. Think these companies. They're all big in their day. Kodak obviously killed themselves with the digital camera. They invented the digital camera. They didn't pursue it. Ansett, many of us may know Ansett, Blockbuster Videos. They were all excellent industries to be in and all excellent companies, but they've all fallen over. In today's environment, there are companies disappearing every single day. Now, these are just some major international companies that have disappeared over the last 20 years. Sears, Lehman Brothers, MCI WorldCom, Compaq, Sony Pictures, Saab, Polaroid, Toshiba, TWA, Toys R Us, Sony, Ericsson, MySpace, Arthur Andersen, and Atari, just to name a few. I'm sure you can think of many more. So what do you need to look for in opportunities? You examine industry growth rates to start with. An attractive market essentially is large and growing, can capture market share without threatening competitors. It's growing, but existing firms cannot meet needs. And if you can dominate or take the biggest share of the market, that's an attractive market. Unattractive markets, and these markets to stay away from, are things like old, stable, contracting, perhaps the automobile industry other than EVs, and trend-based businesses with sudden influx of competitors scrambling for niches such as lipsticks and perfumes. Attractive markets include low-cost providers, low cost of learning, economies of scale, not important. Unattractive markets, while they're declining, cost condition, increasing cost of inputs, resources, high cost of learning, and low profit margins. I mean, these all just make common sense sort of stuff. But you must look to the future and examine industry trends as well. Really, really important. Being an entrepreneur is also being pretty much a futurist as well. Look at trends. So things like living longer, living healthier, sustainability, low-house markets, that's lifestyles of health and sustainability. People want experience over materialism. People are moving away from employment into self-employment, multiple income sources, AI, VR, metaverse, self-education. And examine areas of disruption, and there are plenty going on at the moment. Finance, education, energy, health, lifestyle, transport, work, employment, many others. Just about every industry is being disrupted because of innovation and technology. There's also the CSIRO, which is an Australian research company, government-based. They looked at megatrends. There's 7 that they've identified. Right? This is well worth looking into, seeing what sort of trends are occurring. But essentially, people want more from less, going, gone. The Silk Highway, which is the highway from China to Europe, forever young, virtually here, great expectations, and an imperative to innovate. So every single company needs to innovate. Otherwise, they're going to be disappearing within the next 5 to 7 years. To be a successful commercial opportunity, a deal must pass the basic criteria of, is it needed by the market? Will it work? Can I make a profit? What is its uniqueness? And what is alignment with other products? And how is it to be commercialized? Really, really important, because there's lots of innovations out there or inventions, but they're not really innovations because they have no purpose or they're unable to be commercialized. And Australian universities are one of the best at innovating and creating inventions, but terrible at commercializing. Australian universities are one of the highest per capita rates of inventions, but hopeless at commercialization. There are certain obstacles to success that cannot be overcome. These include the market's too small, overpowering competition. I mean, can you take on Shell or Microsoft? Barriers to entry too high, so such as a new airline. It's not profitable, and that is obviously the cost to make or sell exceeds what customers are willing to pay. And mandatory factors you cannot meet, such as access to airline gates. And you must be market focused. Too many people I've come across, they're all worried about their technology or their idea. The market doesn't care about ideas, products, or technology. What the market cares about, it's about solving people's problems. And here's a quote by Joe Pine, management guru. He said, customers don't want a choice. They just want what they want. And that's the future of the market. Really, really good for innovation. So look around you. Ask yourself, what industries have you worked in? What are you passionate about? What are you good at that can make a difference? What does the world need? What customer complaints did you hear? And where is most of the cost in the product or service? And can you see a way of reducing it? What niche markets are being underserved? And how can you add value to a customer's experience? And how can you delight a customer so exceed their expectations? Just a quick summary before I wrap up. Assessing an idea for a business opportunity must solve a problem or need. So the more complex, the more money you'll make. How will you make money from it? So you must have a business model. You meet people for a business idea. The first question you should always ask is, how is it going to make money? So what's its business model? You must have a market. You need to find a paying customer, and you must have the resources to execute it. And you must have the capabilities to turn the idea into reality. So in other words, can you execute it? And if you don't have the capabilities, you need to be able to pull the capabilities together, but then you need to have the resources to do that. So how does your idea stack up? Does it pass the basic criteria? If not, what's missing? And I finally leave you with this. Do you think you are crazy enough to invent the future? Anyone wants a further chat to develop their idea into a business opportunity? We can have a one-on-one Zoom call. Best place to catch me is on LinkedIn, but I do have a calendar link, and you can email me or call me. All right. I also have a course on this. It's a 10-lesson course. Overall, it takes about 3 hours to do. There's also a workbook associated with that as well, if you are interested. What I've just shown you, just part of that course. There's our social media. There's the website. Questions, anyone?
Thanks, Toby.